Hello!
Hello!
You are watching the Junction Fiber Mill Millcast. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Peggy.
And we are pre-recording this episode to be aired when my baby has arrived.
Yeah.
So, enjoy, and thank you for bearing with my maternity leave.
Oh, please. It's all good. So one of the things we're going to try and do is find stories to share with you. Because we've met so many terrific people, and we wanted to give them more time to sort of share their stories. And that's the case for this Millcast. We're going to share what is just a fabulous story that we recorded in advance and wanted to be able to have it for the maternity leave. Paula Ahrens is a shepherd in southern New Hampshire. Dancing Pony Sheep Farm, I think? Yeah, Dancing Pony Sheep Farm.
We will link it in the show notes.
Yeah, so she's got a couple of different breeds, Jacobs and Romneys. And I know Paula because we are often at fiber festivals together and have been on and off for years.
Neighbors.
Often we're booth neighbors. And the last time we were together, we actually shared an Airbnb. We were down in West Springfield for the Fiber Festival of New England. And so we did the whole long day Saturday, and then found a diner to go have dinner. And Paula told me this story over dinner. And I thought about it later, and I thought, boy, that's a story that needs to be shared. Mm-hmm. And, it's funny. I get a little weepy thinking about it. And you might too. Paula came up and she shared that story, and I hope it moves you like it moved me. At a festival not long ago, you and I were sharing accommodations.
Yes, we were.
Save a little money.
Yeah.
And we were out to dinner. And you told the story that was a tough one.
Yeah.
And I reached out and asked you if you would tell it again.
Happily.
This time with feeling. Yeah.
Well.
Take me back to the beginning. What was the story?
The story is about my favorite ewe ever. It's Ellie Mae. And the flock, our brand new flock. This was our first year of having sheep. So I literally knew nothing. And we lambed, and we had, it was stormy and wintry, and we had all the experiences of lambing in the winter. And we were so sad because during that time, Ellie wasn't pregnant, or she didn't seem pregnant, and we were like, okay. Because we had this ram that she loved. I mean, they literally were like best friends, love partners. And so we were a little confused, like, why didn't she get pregnant? But then we know in April, she got pregnant later. So we had the successful lambing, it was fine. And now the sheep are out in the field and they're starting to graze, and Ellie is pregnant. And I'm feeling like, it's okay. It's all right. I'm a little panicked, but she's out in the field. It's going to be totally different, but it's okay. So
out in the field as opposed to lambing in the barn, where you could be there to help.
Where I could be there, where there's jugs, where we can separate them. You're able to just easily do the checks. If you need to confine someone, it's easy. But now they're out in these big paddocks with, netting for fencing, and if you startle them, like I'd already, as a first year person, had already had the sheep out of the netting quite a few times at this point, so I was feeling stressed. But anyway, but Ellie's calm. Ellie loves me. I mean, in our first week of knowing each other, she got quilled, and she just let me straddle her and pull the quills out because she chose me. Like when we got these sheep from our dear friend Betty, Ellie chose me. So I had immediately a relationship with Ellie that was just clear, that I was her human. So that was calming and comforting. So there she is. She's in labor. I know she's in labor. The fluids are happening. It's happening. And it's early, so I get my bag and I'm all ready and I'm waiting, and it's 5 o'clock and it's 6 o'clock, and okay, Ellie's never lambed before. It could take a while. It's okay. So, all right, I go. It's nighttime. I'm going out to do the late night checks in the field. She's letting me do this, but we're not progressing. So I call the vet around 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I say, we have a problem. And it so happened that the vet was currently it's somebody else's problem. A cow was having trouble calving, but he called me back pretty quickly and said, I'll be there in, half hour, 45 minutes. So the vet comes and we walk out to the field and there's Ellie, and we realize that her uterus is twisted. And I hold her. This is a big ewe. This is a big Romney ewe. I hold her, and he untwists the uterus in the field. Peter, my husband, at some point, he's watching. He realizes, extra set of hands. So we're both holding Ellie, and we get the uterus untwisted. The lamb is dead, and she seems to be fine, but really in shock. So we get rid of the lamb, and I just sit with Ellie. She's given sheep are given a drug called Banamine for pain. So, we gave her Banamine, we gave her all the antibiotics and the meds that she would need to protect her. And then the vet left and told me, signs to look for, what to pay attention to make sure that she healed up okay. So I sit with her, and I'm sitting. She's got her sort of hind end, and I've got my hand on her back, and her head is kind of over here, and the rest of the flock we're on a hill at this point. She had dug into the sand a little nest for herself, trying to birth in the nest. So I'm just sitting with her, and Remus, the ram, her dear Remus, comes up, and he walks around me, and he walks behind, and he stands at her head, and he kisses her forehead. And he just nuzzles her, and he stays with her for a little while, and then he slowly walks away. And then another ewe comes and walks the same exact path, stands by her, kisses her head, and walks away. All 7 ewes do this. And I'm just sitting watching, and then Remus comes back, and he lays down at her head. And we just stay with Ellie, probably for an hour. We just stayed. And then I had to go to work. So I'd canceled my morning, but I had to get up and go to work. So I feel like Remus has got her. The flock has done this incredibly generous, beautiful thing. She seems okay. I go to work. I come home in the afternoon, and she is pacing the paddock, baaing and calling. And, clearly she's calling for her lamb. I'd heard now the other ewes, when the lambs are out and mom wants the lamb, they have a really particular sound, and each ewe is different, but you can recognize it immediately. Oh, that mom is calling that lamb. And so Ellie is calling, and she is calling, and she's pacing, and then she stops, and she stands. I just watch her take her legs, and she just stands, and the baa changes, the tone of it changes, it's guttural, and I just said, oh my God, she's bawling, she's wailing. And she stood still, and she wailed, and all the sheep came in and created a circle around her, and they all stood and faced in at her. They didn't move, they didn't baa, they didn't graze, they just stayed until she stopped. And I don't know how long. I mean, I didn't watch the clock. I watched her, so I have no idea how long this went on. But I was riveted and just stayed as a witness to this event. And then she finally laid down, and they held the circle, turned, and grazed in their spot. Another, who knows, like 20 minutes, half an hour, until she broke the circle. So when she got up and walked out, then they kind of spread and grazed. So, I interject this just because my former life was as a modern dancer and as an artist, and there's a famous choreographer named Martha Graham who choreographed this incredible piece in the 30s or 40s called Primitive Mysteries. And it's this woman, deep in her womanness, I guess, and I have, there are many photographs of this. You can look it up. You can even get it on YouTube. And there's a circle of women that it's very tribal and intense, and it's circular, and they hold this circle, and this woman is in the middle of the circle. And so I just felt like I had witnessed this powerful, amazing moment between these creatures who absolutely understood what happened, absolutely felt for their flock mate, and were really sentient about the pain and the sadness. And so I felt so privileged to have been a witness to that, and to be a participant in it, that I had sat with her and had that. And so then you fast forward a couple years, and my mother is dying of pancreatic cancer. And I'm in constant contact with my brother. She lives with my brother, or in Idaho near my brother. And I get the call. I'm at work, and I get the call. Well, she's on morphine. She's not really here. She's not dead, but she's on morphine. And that was the day for me that I really felt it. And I just canceled the rest of the day. I went home, and I got a bucket. It was sunny. It was December. I just put the bucket upside down, and I sat down on the bucket, and who comes over but Ellie? Ellie just beelined it to me, and she kissed my forehead, and she stood like Remus stood with me, and she put her head on my shoulder, and one by one, and I swear I'm not making this up, one by one, the members of the flock that I had the deepest contact with came and made a circle, and the younger ones made a second circle, and they held this circle for me until I was done crying. And so these events span, those two events, I see them as linked, but they span probably 3 or 4 years. And if ever there was a doubt in anyone's mind that animals are as sentient and emotional and wise as we think we are, like, I have been taught so many times that is just perhaps more wise, because they don't carry the baggage and the mind games. But that story, I hold that story as just one of the most precious moments of shepherding, and I think about it all the time and what it has taught me. And having been a dancer and an artist, I lived in the world of metaphor, right? And making metaphors out of things in motion. And my life as a shepherd with these animals, it's like I don't need to make metaphors anymore. Every day, I'm not a religious person, I'm not a God person, but it is the closest to God I've ever been, right? So there I am. Like, every day is a prayer, every day is a gift, every day is a challenge, every day is life, every day could potentially be death, right? So in those birthing moments, like, lambing is the best. Lambing is just the most powerful, amazing time of year. The lessons and the gifts and the humility that must come is just, I can't say enough. There you go.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, thank you for asking me. I love sharing shepherd tales.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's all those miracles that no one ever sees,
True.
right? But you see them every day. So,
Thanks.
yeah, thank you.
So, Paula's a really, really warm soul.
She is, and she just has so much spunk and energy to her too. It's always fun to be her booth neighbor at these festivals, and it really does feel like a little tight-knit community within the fiber vendor world.
We have a picture of Ellie Mae and Ramus, I think is his name, there, and a couple of other pictures of her sheep. So enjoy that. And Paula, thank you very much for telling your story.
And also for giving us the honor to process your fiber and trusting us with it from the very start at the mill. So
it's true.
Yeah. We really appreciate
Yeah,
that.
we got about 130 pounds waiting to get done. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that, and we look forward to bringing you some other stories soon.
Bye.